Hello, Warrior to DSW Discord. Hi guys. Sorry this is so scuffed, but it's something. Again, I'm sorry it's not a proper scripted video, but it was taking way too long, and I had a sore throat the last few days, and I literally was struggling to speak. But anyway, sorry that again this is so bad, but this is something. Hopefully this will give you more confidence and what have you going into SSC. I'll do the TK1 straight afterwards. So I've got a little spreadsheet thing here which I can share with you guys. It's very simple. It's just got the names of the mobs and a couple of notes about what they do. I'll just drag this to my other screen. I'll put it in the description, so you got a link on the Discord so you guys can see it as well. But it's a little bit of a cheat sheet for me, and you know, you can put stuff on here as well if you want. Just copy it from the Google Docs and make your own, and then add your own notes if you want to. Okay, so starting off, we have this is all skippable, but I recommend that you kill it. What you can do is jump into the water behind the webcam here, and run to the pipe just off to the side. I don't think I'm going to be able to show it to you. Heal up and then run to the other pipe, and then you're between two platforms and you can run straight to Lurker. Fish will be spawning, so it is tricky. Again, I don't think you should do this because you can potentially pull mobs or you can have people die. It's just a time waste. I think killing these for 99% of guilds is the quicker method. So the first pack, the most important thing as a tank is the Coilfang Beast Tamer. This guy cleaves and he will one-shot anyone who isn't a tank, so you must make sure you're facing him away. This is the first time I'm doing SSC on the PTR, so you can see I do not care about his cleave, and people are getting cleaved left, right and centre. The next thing that you want to be mindful for is the Coilfang Hate Screamer. They don't do it very often, but they do an AoE silence. I think that the best case scenario is everybody just hug. So mark one of your melee or one of your ranged, I think. Mark one of your range and have the ranged person stand directly behind the Coilfang Beast Tamer. Very similar, identical in fact, to the positioning for the trash in Gruul's Lair. You know, you want to avoid the charge, everyone stands behind. Well, have everyone stand behind the mob here as well. So stand behind the Beast Tamer. The Spore Bats do a charge, so that will interrupt people and knock them down. And as a tank, particularly if you're tanking the Beast Tamer, don't try and pick anything up. If you're on the Beast Tamer, just ignore everything else. You want to be on the Beast Tamer and nothing else because of the cleave. You can't move too much or else people will die to the cleave. And it's really bad wasting time when you need to res people. And the Spore Bats do a little explosion when they die, but it's so little damage, it's not really worth talking about. The next mob is the Underbod Colossus. So my internet is very slow. Oh, we've dropped down to like standard def quality here. Oh, this isn't good. Give me 1 second. Let me see if I can close some applications. Okay, so let me just do a quick snip here. So this is obviously the situation we have here. So there are 3 scenarios that happen when you pull the Underbod Colossus. One is a 30-yard AoE like Earthquake. So you want to stand, this is approximately 30 yards, so stand out like max range where Star is, and damage as normal when the AoE happens. Number 2, you've got a Frenzy where he just increases his melee speed. You can Tranquilizing Shot this, but he doesn't hit hard enough anyway for the increased melee attack speed to really scare you as a tank if you've got, you know, phase 1 BIS or thereabouts. The third thing he does is an Acid Geyser, which is very important. So again, basically he will target a random player and do a frontal cone. So let's say that he targets Star here. He will do an AoE on everybody who is stood in this area. And that is not good because the majority of the raid is in this range camp. So what you want to do is, until you know if it's a AoE, Spore Quake, the Earthquake, the Frenzy, where he just attacks harder, or the Acid Geyser. So the Quake and the Acid Geyser are the ones that you need to worry about. So I would say have the entire raid, range camp at least, stand approximately here. Okay, so that so one person is either going to get, so it's going to be, again, the Frenzy, where he attacks harder, no one cares. He's going to do the AoE Earthquake, run away, or he does the Acid Geyser, where you want the whole raid to run to melee. As soon as it's the Geyser, run to melee. And you know it's a Geyser when he targets someone who isn't obviously the tank. So I'm high on threat, la da 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 da, doing my job nicely. As soon as he targets somebody who's not me, so make sure you have target frame as like a DPS or tank or whoever, and you can just call out the new name of the person he selects. So if he selects this Warlock here, or anybody, you need to run to the tank. Everybody else runs behind the boss. Okay, you are now effectively, you know, the tank position. You need to go immediately to the tank position if the boss turns and faces you, and you just spew his AoE all over the tank, okay, in this area. And that's all you need to do. And the reason you stay like this kind of like 15-yard range initially is so that it's a short distance to run into melee. So you're halfway, so the raid stands here like 15 yards. You don't have too far to run into melee, and you don't have too far to run out of the AoE. So the earthquake range is approximately here, and then the geyser is obviously a frontal cone. Okay, I hope that's clear. I spent ages on that. Probably went into too much detail. And then when the Colossus dies, he will spawn one of 4 things. The first is 10 Colossus Rager ads. These are just picked up by your Paladin tank. You can use Challenging Shout, Challenging Roar to pick them up. Just obviously give the tank a second to get threat. As a Paladin, you just need to make sure that a consecration is down prior to the boss dying or the mob dying, just so that you pick them up immediately. The other scenario, the second, is 2 Colossus Lurkers. So these are bigger, badder mobs because there's only 2 of them. I just shield slam one immediately and mark it with Skull. I think this is bugged or something. He doesn't seem to be doing anything here. Again, this was early on in the PTR. Third, it can be the Refreshing Mist, which, similar to the Earthquake, is going to be like a 30-yard range. So that would be like a green patch. Oh, that's not working. It would be like a green patch of like slime all over here. And you just need to, more often than not, run backwards because you know the trash pack is clear. And just stay out of range, wait for it to despawn, and then push forward. What you don't want to do is just melee here and then run forward because there's a pack over here on the left and you don't want to pull the pack, so always go backwards. And the fourth is a Toxic Pool. Oh, sorry. No, the Toxic Pool is the AoE. The Refreshing Mist is like a blue little area under the mob when he dies, and this replenishes mana. And it might replenish health as well, but it's definitely replenishing mana. Okay, and then it is copy-paste of the first pack we did. The Patrol, another Colossus. Again, one of 3 mechanics when he's live, and then 1 in 4 death effects. Again, the 10 ads, the 2 ads, the Mist or the Toxic Pool. Let's see if we can get to the other Colossus and see what he does. Let's skip forward. We're pulling this Colossus. I think I remember he just does the frenzy here. Yeah, so as well as the frenzy, so he's doing a debuff here, which I think this is bugged because it just keeps falling off or someone's dispelling me. It's very weird how it's happening here. Again, this is old PTR footage. When he does the debuff for when he does the frenzy that increases his attack speed, you can see he's got the frenzy here, the little red icon. He also does a debuff on a random raid member, which is called oh, okay. No, never mind. Okay, ignore that. It's just a tank debuff. No one cares about the tank debuff. It just reduces your stamina a little bit, but it doesn't really matter. It's a stacking debuff that reduces stamina and strength. As long as your HP doesn't go down to like 12k, you'll be fine. Again, it's not a mechanic that really impacts you too much. Okay, so let's go over to Hydros himself. Get to 100 rage on these ads. These only have 10k. These spawn over here on the right. They patrol over to the left. Just attack them, get 100 rage. Obviously, get your nature res or your frost res gear on. Let's go. I'm going to be tanking the nature. This druid is tanking the frost. Run in from the side because you see these 2 flags? This is like, imagine that there's a line here. When the boss passes this line, so between this flag and this flag, like imagine there's a line here between them. This is like the threshold for him to change phase. So currently he's in frost and there are no ads. So the druid runs in from the side and engages. If you run from the front, I don't know what the pull range is actually like because I've only ever seen and pulled him from the side. The risk on private servers was if you were running from the front, you're here, the boss aggro range is, you know, you've pulled the boss and the boss just immediately runs towards you and you're still running up to him. He's run over here now. He's past his threshold and he's wanting to change phase. He doesn't instantly change phase. It's like a 2 to 4 second delay. But yeah, so you can see the bear goes in and picks up the boss. Like, again, this is my first time on the PTR doing it, so I'm a little bit tentative on what I should be doing. So I grab this Tainted Elemental. I bring it to the melee so they can just one-shot it. But this isn't classic level 60 where we have a million melee. I was expecting them to like get aggro and like just hold it, but no. So I've still got it. I grab the second one. Again, any tank who isn't obviously tanking Hydros can do this job. Just pick up the ads and bring them to melee. Melee can cleave them down. Melee, this, oh, we've done it now. This is good. So melee have split up into a triangle. This is exactly what you want. So you want the tank to be here, or the tanks, no, that's not tank. So tank is here, tank. Then you have left side, and then you have right side. So the melee are in a triangle, okay? So right in a circle, left in a circle, and tank in a circle. Because during the frost phase, there's a water tomb that goes out every 15 seconds, and this will tomb one person, which is effectively stunning you for 5 seconds. It deals 5,000 base frost damage over 5 seconds, 1,000 every 1 second, and anybody within 8 yards. So if all of the melee are clumped together behind the boss, every melee is going to get hit by every water tomb and be CC'd for 8 seconds. If the tank is within range of the melee, it's an absolute shit show. I can swear now maybe because if this is just a video for my Discord. Ha ha ha. But yeah, it's not something you want to happen. So you see the 3 groups are really nice. You just need to make sure as a tank that this melee group doesn't get too close to you. And if you are the tank getting the 1 in 25 chance of getting water tomb, you need to say tank water tombed. Extra healing needs to be on you because your avoidance goes away when you're stunned, and obviously your threat stops when you're tombed. So let's just go back a bit and look at the Mark of Hydros. So Mark of Hydros, next Mark of Hydros in next Mark of Hydros 25%. Okay, so every 15 seconds there's a new Mark of Hydros that goes out. These refresh and change the debuff, increasing frost damage taken and its nature in nature phase. So I'm receiving 25% extra frost damage. Everyone in the raid has this debuff. Everyone in the raid is receiving 25% frost damage. And then every 15 seconds, oh look, now this time has gone up. Everybody is taking 50% more frost damage. So now if a water tomb goes out, let's say that this guy gets water tombed, instead of taking 5k damage over 5 seconds, he's taking 7.5k frost damage over 5 seconds, okay? Now we're reaching the 100% mark, where obviously Hydros' base damage is 5,000 per melee swing. So now his increased damage now is 10k per swing. And that's when you need the resistance to help relieve you of that. So we're transitioning maybe a little bit early, but it's not too bad. Rather transition too early than too late. So everyone's just received the 100% buff. You can see the 250 buff is now loading, if you like. So he's phase changing now. I'd say we phase change maybe 6 seconds too early, because in an ideal world, you would transition just before or just as he hits 250. But you know, on PTR it's fine. And if you want to play it safer, play it safer. It's also very simple for everyone in the raid to understand. We will move the boss once we hit the 100% increased frost on nature, the 4th mark, just so people can get preemptive knowledge and know when you're planning to transition. So rewinding again. Obviously, this is very similar if this was going from a nature to a frost or on the pull. You know, I'm there with 100 rage. Oh, you can see here on the transition. Oh, I didn't mean to go forward. On the transition, especially melee, melee like to ignore spreading 8 yards. So, for example, this water tomb that went out now, like, where's the bear? The bear's here. Melee, melee, melee. Probably more melee because I only see like 2 guys here. Like the rest of the melee are all on that bear. If this tomb wasn't on any one of those people, there would be like 4 people or 3 people tombed, including the tank. The tank is going to be taking 7.5k damage over 5 seconds. This guy is going to be taking 7.5k damage over 5 seconds. This guy as well. And the boss is still going to be meleeing the druid. Not a good idea. The time where you want to be most spread is when you're transitioning like this. Okay, I'll try and speed this video up. I don't want it to last too long. So the transition happens now. As soon as he changes color, use Shield Slam or do whatever big threat ability you have. You want the Consecration down. You want to be picking up the ads. The ads are tauntable. The boss is not tauntable. Pick up the ads. By Shield Slam into Revenge. Oh, don't use Shield Block. You'll see later in the video I get my combat log up just to confirm that I can't block the attacks. Do not use Shield Block. Okay? And I'm just building threat. As a DPS, you've got two options. At the beginning, if your tank is picking up Hydros well, you can just attack Hydros a little bit and then kill the ads. The ads are the most important thing to die because they scale a lot with the Mark of Corruption. So Mark of Corruption is the nature debuff, like Mark of Hydros is for increased frost damage. This is increased nature damage. And just kill the ads pretty quickly because you don't want the paladin tank or whoever's tanking the ads to be taking, 25% extra damage from the ads or whatever, particularly if they're not wearing resist gear. Our paladin in this video is not wearing any resistance gear. Okay? So it's the same principle again. There's no tomb in the nature phase. So you can stand where you like. One thing I really like for the raid, particularly healers and big pumper DPS, is during this time or as soon as you transition into nature, I really like it when there are some people who... So the boss has just transitioned into nature. Boom, nature. If I were this guy or something, I'd blink over here. Or if I were a healer, or is there a healer nearby? I don't know, here. I'd run over here. Or just be in the frost side of the boss room, okay? Because when we transition back into frost phase from nature to frost, there's going to obviously be another threat reset when he transitions. So I don't think I mentioned the threat reset. Yeah, every time he changes color from frost to nature to frost, there's a threat reset. As a ranged DPS or a healer, it's really comfortable to stand in the side of the room where he's going to be transitioning into, because then if you pull threat for whatever reason, the boss will never go over this line and retransition. So let's fast forward. So we're moving over to from nature to frost. So you can see some people are over here on the frost. That's good. But see this Moonkin or this healer? Let's say, for example, or like Star here, let's say, if he does a big Shadowbolt crit, we've just transitioned him into frost. Let's say that my stuff missed or dodged, parried, whatever. My threat is bad. And or the bear rather, he's tanking it, not me. And the boss is aggroed on the Moonkin or the Warlock or this Resto Shaman. The boss is just going to run over here and potentially transition again. He's going to threat reset again. He's going to spawn 4 more ads. And we continue to have the nature debuff. So we're taking 100% extra nature damage. If we transition him over to nature, the whole raid still has this increased nature damage debuff for 100% more damage. So people are just going to get absolutely clapped. One good thing on this fight is you can reset him if things do not go to plan, and just run back the way that we came on the near where the trash was. Okay, I spoke about Hydros way too long. Excuse me. Just gonna have some water. Sorry. Hydros is one of the bosses that I spent a lot of time doing the the scripting and stuff for, that is now out the window. Maybe I'll do a more in-depth one soon. Okay, so this looks like an absolute clusterfuck, and it is, but it's easy, so it doesn't really matter. The Honor Guard, he does some Mortal Cleave ability, which suggests that he does a cleave, but I don't actually know for sure if it's an actual cleave. No one's ever stood in front of him to take a cleave, if it is a cleave, but I'd assume it's a cleave. So again, this Vashir Honor Guard, just face him away from the raid. He does a knock up in the air for the tank, and he also knocks you back a couple of yards, not very far. But don't tank him right on the edge of the platform, because you can get knocked 2 yards back and into the water. Not good. He does a Mortal Strike debuff, as you saw just then. And when he's half HP, he will then... does he enrage? He definitely does a Fear. So when he's half HP, he will then start to use a Fear. But you can kill him quickly enough. So here's the enrage, approximately 50% HP. Yeah, so he enrages, and he now has the ability to Fear. But I think his Fear has a cooldown. So as long as you nuke him, you won't even see the Fear. Let's go to another pack and talk about another mob. So that was the what's it called? Vashir Honor Guard. I just use my notes for a second. People are falling into the water because they're bad. So the Coil Fang Priestesses. Let's talk about the Priestesses here. So these are the female Nagas marked square and triangle. These Priestesses do a greater heal, which can be interrupted. It should be interrupted. And a Holy Nova. So they also turn into like a priest's angel form. I can't remember what the talent's called. When they die, they can still like do some abilities, but they don't heal too much. Like I think on the pull straight away there was a Holy Nova that went out there. So they heal, and the last mobs, or there's two more mobs. The Coil Fang Shatterers, they do a Shatter Armor cast. As a warrior, you can spell reflect this, but don't prioritize spell reflecting it. The spell reflect isn't very important. What's most important is probably saving that 30 rage that you would have used on the spell reflect and just dumping it into more threat on the mob, particularly if you're killing the what are they called, the Coil Fang Shatterers first. You need to dump threat in. Don't worry about the debuff reducing your armor. The mobs don't do enough damage for it to be noticeable even, really. And then the Vashir Honor Guard. Like this Vashir Honor Guard could have been tanked with the rest of the group because he only fears when he enrages at approximately half HP. But now he can fear, now he's enraged. But everything else is dead, so it doesn't really matter. He's not going to fear probably because... yeah, no fear, because we killed him quickly enough. So again, and then there are some Grey Heart Technicians. These are the small mobs, which you can't even see. Have they all died? No. These little guys... they're just tanked in the Paladin's Consecration. Easy peasy. Okay. Yeah, I mean, just watch out for the cleave from the Honor Guard. Everything else is easy peasy. Just interrupt the greater heals, and you can't do anything about the Holy Nova. They die quickly enough anyway. Easy peasy. Oh, just interrupt the heals, because that's the worst part. Heal, I don't know how much the heals for, like 100k damage. Whenever there's a heal that people aren't interrupting, just figure out how much it heals for. And be like, yo, you're effectively dealing a 10k damage to the mob if you're interrupting a 10k heal. Please interrupt. Okay, so on PTR, I hope this is fixed, but I haven't done the PTR towards the end of it being up. The boss melees as soon as he is fished. Okay, so this is the Lurker below. You fish him, he spawns. Fish him away from melee range. I'm stood on the edge of the platform towards the water in the middle. If you're going to be fishing him as a non-tank, fish him from away from the side, just so that when he spawns, he will only melee a tank, or the main tank, ideally, right? I think that's all I need to say about the pull. Yeah, he only attacks people in melee. If no one's in melee, he'll do like an extra mechanic. So just make sure there's always someone in melee. And yeah, so if the tank ever gets out of melee range, he will always preferably melee someone in melee range. If the tank gets knocked or thrown or dies, he will go straight away on the number 2 melee on threat. He'll not attack anyone in range unless there's nobody in melee. So as long as there's a pet or, you know, DPS warrior or anybody in melee, he will always attack them. So let's say, for example, I'm like, I think Phaged is a feral druid here. If I die, the boss will go on him. Look at all these people who would be fine with their threat. Or let's say that I wasn't here on the threat meter as TSW. I was down here as TSW. This would be fine. None of these range people could pull threat. Oh, Blaze for Days, sorry, he's a prop paladin. But I hope you get my point. The whirl is what just happened, and that's what knocked me back. I'm jumping in the water and he whirls. So DBM shows you a timer. I think it's a 15-second timer. No, 20-second timer for the whirl. The DBM timer is the cooldown for the whirl, not when he's actually going to whirl. So you see here, it's whirling in 5 seconds. This is the cooldown for the whirl, not when he's actually whirling. So if you want to play it safe, as soon as the whirl cooldown ends, jump in the water. When you're in the water, you'll be taking 1000 fire damage from the boiling water every second. But if you want to be a pro, the boss spins when he does his whirl. His whirl is like a whirlwind, kind of, right? Knocking everyone back. When DBM timer says that whirl is off cooldown, you can just wait for him to do the animation, and you have like half a second to just jump and run forward and avoid the whirl. I think I figure it out and do it at some point here. So he's doing his spout. There's also an animation from his mouth when he's spouting, but DBM will hold your hand as well. As a tank him in this position near where this water goes. Oh, also on the PTR, standing in this was dealing the boiling damage for 1000 every second. So just make sure you don't have this debuff by accidentally standing too close to this water on the platform. This water on the platform is dealing damage as if you were in the water, like swimming in the water. And then when he's spouting, you can just jump in the water like I did and not get knocked. Or if you do get knocked, there's a lot of like an environment column thing behind you. So if you do get knocked, try and get knocked into the column. And if you do get knocked away from the column, you're a tank and you can just intercept back in and try and recompose yourself. You'll lose a load of threat because you're not in range of the boss to attack. Oh, also during this phase when he's spinning around, don't use Heroic Strike. Just use your Shield Slam, Revenge, Devastate, because you're obviously not taking any damage and your rage income is going to be very poo-poo. Instead of it being a 360 spout, so at the beginning, I was standing here. And he's obviously done this. It's more like a 400-degree whirl. So I'm not going to get hit by this whirl because I know that it's safe, but obviously, because like the animation lasts like a second longer than the actual knockback, so just be careful. There's nothing wrong with just standing over here and absolutely guaranteeing you're not even in the animation of the boss. Additionally, you can just hop in the water and swim around and just take 3 or 4k fire damage. You're the only person taking damage here during the boss only phase, so you just need everyone to be healing you. Also, after the spout, people need to be pre-healing you. Like I drop kind of low there. You can see on the combat log here, I'm taking 4k hit, whirl 1.6k hit, and like 4.8k hit, and I've got a life bloom on me, and that's it. That's a problem from the healer's point of view. Armor potion on cooldown here as well as a warrior paladin. He does hit kind of hard because you are the only person taking damage in the boss phases, okay? And then we're going to get a submerge soon. So you can see the timer on the DBM in the middle, submerge in 7 seconds. He's going to do a whirl. Whirl is off cooldown. He does the animation. I move forward and I clip the water and I don't get knocked. Cool. So he does the submerge. He's going to spawn 3 adds. Let's just quickly do a little thing here. So 1 add is going to be coming here and stop here. 1 add is going to be coming off screen and be here. And another add is, again, off screen and landing like on the opposite side of down here. These adds cleave. Anyone stood here is susceptible to the cleave. So this paladin is picking up the add. This shaman and anyone here is susceptible to the cleave. If I pick up the add here and I stand here, I think this guy's fine for the cleave range, but it's just something to be careful. They are stunnable, they are disarmable. Okay, you want to face them either outside, like I am. So there's a path for anybody to move. This paladin, let's say, like he can run over here, heal someone over here, then run over back. Like he's fine. The cleave, the dead zone is something like this. Okay, the cleave area, So avoid that. It's probably more like 180 than that, but cleave. Hits anyone in front of him. Like here, there's a lot of people. Obviously stood here because this is where like range like to be. So just for background information, there are 2 more adds spawning at every island. So this is like the Mela Island. You have 1 add spawning here, my ad spawning here, 1 ad spawning here. And then you have 2 adds spawning here, which are like ranged mobs. They do a physical multi-shot, and 2 adds on this platform as well. You can't really see in the distance. So range kill these 6 mobs. You want to be pre-assigned as range. I don't know why I'm going through all the tactics. Do you guys care about the tactics for the boss? The other things for the boss? Whatever. The most important add in terms of the Qualifying Guardians, these melee guys, is the one that the main tank is tanking, obviously. They are tauntable. So if my ad wasn't dying, any of the other tanks just come over and taunt it off me. And then you just continue to kill it. Although there's a long period of time for the ad phase, and the ads don't have that much HP. So it's fine for you to just... yeah, there's plenty of time. Like we're just stood here twiddling our thumbs, not doing anything, waiting for the boss to spawn. If you do struggle with DPS, it's fine. Just have a couple of just ignore the boss and kill the ads. One thing you do need to be mindful for is this: he whirls immediately as soon as he resurfaces. Okay, so he'll knock you back like he did to me. And then he does a spout instantly as well. So if you do have any ads up, you need to respect the spout. Okay, let's say that there was an ad here that melee was still attacking here. You need to be aware of the spout. This will knock you back and kill you. Okay. And I think that's about it for Lurker. Cool. Trash up to Leo. Let's look at this pack here. So this is a fun pack. So these are Greyheart Tide Callers. These summon a totem called Water Elemental Totem. If you don't kill it within 5 seconds or so, it will summon a Water Elemental. So DPS jump on the Water Elemental Totem ASAP. The Greyheart Nether Mages. These are Circle and Moon marked here. These are typically sheeped. It's really good to have 2 mages just for the sheep for this raid. It really saves wipes and time on trash. What these these Greyheart Nether Mages do is they will pick one of 3 schools of magic and they'll basically just do a volley or a chain lightning. It'll be an arcane volley, a fire volley, or a chain lightning, I think. So they just pick a school of magic and they just spam that. Okay, so here we've seen a Water Elemental Totem spawn. That needs to be killed ASAP. I'm tanking Skull, the Greyheart Tidecaller, which is a Shaman. It spawns the totem. And the totem is killed. And no ad spawns. Perfect. We've got the 2 Nether Mages sheeped. And then the remaining mobs are there's a Skulker, which is just a melee mob. Not much to say. Who cares? And the Coilfang Serpent Guard. These have a spell reflect, which lasts 8 seconds. So it's quite a long time. So as a ranged person, try and get on the Serpent Guards when they do their reflect. Jump on the Skulker or something else. When these Nether Mages are loose, you only want to kill one at once. So keep one of them sheeped. Their volley does hurt. Okay, you don't want some people in the raid to be half HP and you break the sheep. The risk is they start volleying immediately and the volley is raid wide and people start dying. The best thing is to face these Nether Mages away from the raid. I wasn't able to double check every mechanic, but please pay attention. There's a lot of mechanics in SSC Trash which are 180 degree, meaning that they'll only attack people in front of you. There are some volleys in SSC Trash that will only attack the people in front of the mob. So turn them away and they won't attack anybody. Some of the mechanics won't attack anybody else in the raid. Okay? So just face everything away. Oh, here's a Spore Quake. So as I was saying before, what you want to do is stand, about 15 yards away from the boss, from the mob here. So that if it's the Geyser and he targets one person and does let's say he targets the Moonkin here, he's going to do an AoE cone and attack everybody in the cone. That's not good, okay? Stand like 15 yards away, because if it's the cone, the Moonkin is stood here and just has to move to the tank. Everybody else moves behind the boss. And if it's the AoE Quake, just run 30 yards. Everyone is stood ready as if they know that it's going to be a Quake. It does happen to be a Quake, so they're stood in a good position. But if it's the Geyser, people are going to get absolutely destroyed. Spoiler alert, our first Geyser does have casualties because, again, everyone's happy being really far away. Oh, look, they're not even far away enough. 30 yards is quite far, just to give you a visual. Well, a lot of people are taking a lot of damage. Oh, also, one thing you can do as the tank, whenever you have something that people need to stay max range of, is at worst, tank him perpendicular to the raid. So, the boss is obviously here. Let's draw around his red circle. I've got 3 main options. I can tank him here, and I'm really close to the healers. I can tank him where I'm tanking him, at a 90-degree angle to the raid. And we're the same distance away from the raid. Or the worst case scenario, I stand here. Because if he's doing an AoE, which spawns from the center of his hitbox, and it's 30 yards. Let's say this is, I don't know, 30 yards. I'm like 35 yards away or 36 yards away, and healing isn't necessarily going to reach me. Okay, moving on. The next pack. Oh, be careful. Like on private servers, you have to be very careful not to accidentally body pull this pack. It had a really large aggro range, so just be mindful. Yeah, we've got quite a few mobs here. It's the same quantity as we had before, but pull them up to the top here, just because this next trash pack is very deadly if you get it wrong. So pay a lot of respect to this trash pack at the top of the screen. And because of that, you need to pay attention to the positioning for this pack as well. So again, it's the same that we've seen before. CC the Nether Mages. One of them's CC'd well at the back. One of them's coming to the Consecration. This is going to give us problems because it can't be CC'd. We're going to get volleyed. It's not going to go well. I'm tanking the Tidecaller, who's going to be summoning the Totem. We kill the Totem as soon as we can. Nether Mage has been sheeped, but it's in the Consecration again, so it's not going very well. We're going to be getting hit by the volley. So if we're in this sort of situation where we have a mob that's going to be doing a volley, you can have the mage just spam sheep, and you can try and, you know, interrupt and stop it from doing the volley. So I'd say we should remark the Nether Mage skull, ignore the other ads, kill this, and just have the mage spam sheep it. And I think that's more or less what we're doing. Yep, we're killing the Nether Mage now. That's good. Good call. Sorry, I'm just having another drink. My throat's going to be... I'm going to lose my voice by the end of this. Okay, then proceed to kill them one by one. Easy peasy. Okay, so these witches... is this what they're called? Yeah, Fathom. Coral Fathom Witch. So... I think maybe you kill the Fathom Witches first. I think you can kill the Fathom Witches before they do the mind control. I think it's similar to the Fear before on the Honor Guard. You can kill them before they do the MC. So they will... Did I say? Yeah, MC. So, excuse me. What am I saying? Yeah. So the Fathom Witches do a mind control. They will mind control one person each, okay? So they can mind control the tank. So let's say that I'm tanking a Fathom Witch, I get mind controlled, shit's going to hit the fan, okay? So, yeah, I mean, things can get out of hand very easily with these Fathom Witches, and these Serpent Guards are easy. They don't do a cleave. One good rule of thumb is if they're wielding a two-hander, they probably do a cleave. If they're wielding a one-hander, they're probably not doing a cleave. I know that's not that's probably not going to be absolute for all mobs in WoW, but it's, you know, if you don't know anything else, that's a nice rule to start from. Oh, they also do a knockback as well. Oh, that's why they're not. That's why they're tanked really far away. They have a really large shadow damage knockback. So you want to tank the witches against a wall, and tank them away. For example, if these witches were tanked here, the whole raid would be knocked into the water. Okay. And then moving forward, we've got some more. Oh, here we go. So these are similar trash packs to what we've had before. So we've got a Tidecaller, which summons the Totem. We've got the Mage, the Greyheart Nether Mages, which are going to be CC'd because they do a volley. And the additional mobs here in this room. Let's jump to an actual pack with these additional mobs. Oh, that was one. It's the Lurker. So this is a Serpent Shrine Lurker. So this mob here, Marked Skull. You want to be dropping all of your poison cleanses and things, and Circle of Healing is good for this. These Lurkers drop a mushroom on the ground, which deals damage. Like, I don't really take much, pay much attention to it, honestly. So you see these are mushrooms. You can see the nameplates of them, Rancid Mushroom. So just move away from them. And yeah, dispel the poison if you can easily. And yeah, lots of AoE healing. Easy. Well, easy enough. And then mop up the rest of the mobs. Again, CCing the mage, the Nether Mages is really key because it just eliminates their volley. Oh, there's also a shield bearer. So the shield bearer is triangle on this mob. The shield bearers do an Avenger's shield, which slows you down a bit. He hasn't done it here. What does the shield bearer do? I actually don't know what the shield bearer does. And nothing interesting, really. No big mechanic that I'm aware of, although we do wipe apparently here. Okay, cool. Moving on to the trash just before Leo. There is a patrol here. So Leo, the boss, is here. Always kill this trash pack first, because you're going to go this way anyway to the next boss, and it gives people much more space and safety to spread out before engaging the boss. So this is 3 shield bearers, 1 Tide Caller, so the one that drops the totem that needs to be killed, and the Nether Mage that does the volley. So the Nether Mage with the volley gets cheaped, and then we can just AoE everything else down. Killing just marking skull, killing the shield bearer first. As soon as there's a totem, we kill the totem. Oh, the Tide Caller was sheeped as well. Okay, doesn't really need to be sheeped, but it's all good. Okay, easy. So see, like, not much happened. Oh, they do a charge. Okay, they do a charge and Avenger Shield. Ooh, scary. Okay, and moving on to the boss. I think we're doing tactics for a little bit. Move forward. Moving forward. Okay, so they've got 3 ads that start off. In a pre-nerf state, I think that their Mind Blast is like an AoE when it lands on somebody, like a random raid member. It does AoE to them and anyone nearby, to the target area. Oh, we're doing tactics still. I need to blow my nose. This is like a live stream, but a not live stream. Okay, so yeah, to interrupt the Mind Blast, it doesn't really matter. Just kill them. There's no like enrage timer or any timer that starts. These ads are independent of the boss. The boss is just banished at this time. Similar to Megatherodon, kill the ads and the banished boss reveals themselves. Okay, so I have 100 rage and I'm waiting for the last ad to die. I'm ready for the pickup. This is exactly what you want to do in order to pick up Leotheus the Blind. Oh, also gear-wise, obviously resistance gear for Hydros. For Lurker, as long as you're out threatening the melee, you're fine. Lurker can hit a little bit hard, so yeah, armor pot on cooldown pretty much. And yeah, wear fairly tanky gear. You should be okay, because every healer's healing you. Leotheus the Blind can hit moderately hard, not super hard, but you definitely want to be wearing a good amount of threat gear, because you may need to kill an inner demon. We'll get to that in a minute. So Leo is loose. I pick him up straight away. I'm spending my rage, shield slamming, you know, heroic striking, all that good stuff. Yep, picking him up. Nice. And he's going to do a whirlwind. Do I have some timers somewhere for the whirlwind? Not sure that I do. No. So he does like a pattern. It's whirlwind, whirlwind, demon phase, whirlwind, whirlwind, demon phase, or something along those lines. DBM hopefully will help you out. So he'll whirlwind, and then he'll just focus for like 6 seconds on a random person, and then he'll focus on someone else for another 6 seconds. If you get hit by the whirlwind, you get a bleed dot for physical damage. It's not that big of a deal. When the whirlwind ends, and DBM will tell you when it ends, it's a threat reset. So he's reset. The Paladin's picked him up. You know, having 2 or 3 tanks here is fine. Warrior tank, the Bear tank, and the Paladin tank. I think it's good if all 3 of them try and pick up the boss, at least for the first few kills, because it just gives you that safety net of you know, a high chance of someone's going to pick it up, because the boss like walks around the room at quite high speeds to focus people during his whirlwind. And if, you know, I'm up here trying to pick up the boss and he's 2 or 3 seconds away from ending the phase, and he decides to pick someone down here like the Moonkin, he's going to go and then start attacking the Moonkin, and I'm still up here, and then I'm like running down, and then he does the threat reset now, and I'm over here. If you have 3 tanks, it's really nice. If you struggle with the pickup, I'm sorry, let me mute my phone. Where if you do struggle with the pickup, you can say, okay, I'll be a warrior tank, I'll be down here. Okay, I'll be the Paladin tank, I'll be down here, and I'll be the Druid tank, I'll be up here, and like pre-assign positions for the tanks to be during the whirlwind phase. But it's not too bad. Okay, and obviously DPS needs to stop damage during the threat reset. So again, he's gone into whirlwind phase. He's going to be spinning around for like 10 seconds or so, focusing somebody, chasing them, focusing someone else, chasing them. Oh, as a tank, it can be really nice to actually get the debuff just to replenish your rage bar. And then he does the threat reset. He's chasing somebody. He won't one-shot them, but he will two-shot them pretty much. So, oh, intervene can be very good as well. So he's doing his next phase, which is a demon phase. So this is when you want the warlock tank to be picking him up. I've done like a shield slam or something to get the boss on top to get threat of the boss. What basically happens is he will like fireball the highest on threat, so me at this current point in time, and attack me and AoE fire damage anyone nearby. So that was the AoE there, and you have the warlock tank in 5-res gear typically tanking the boss. So druid tank, standing there isn't a good idea because he gets hit. Also, it's a stacking debuff which increases fire damage taken. Or damage taken or something. Okay, that's pretty much the fight. At 15%. Let's talk about the ads, the inner demon. Okay, so during the ad phase, I try and have 100 rage or close to it. And I'm also wearing a little bit of threat gear, okay? So maybe like a trinket or something with like on use. So he does this cast, and DBM will tell you if you have a inner demon. You can only attack the inner demon if it's your inner demon. And I say your inner demon because you're the only person who can interact with the demon. If you're a healer, you just need to stop healing and go full damage on the inner demon, or else you're not going to kill it. You have a finite amount of time, I think 30 seconds, to kill the inner demon. If you don't kill the inner demon, you're mind controlled for the rest of the fight. So if you're mind controlled, you just get killed straight away and then combat resed. So I've got 30 seconds to kill this mob. I immediately swap to dual wield. So I'm now dual wielding. I devastate to 5. And I spend my rage. Excess rage on Heroic Strike. So I've sundered him to 5. I've used almost half my time to kill the mob. He does a Shadow Bolt as well, which can be spell flected. It looks like I did get the spell fleck off. My spell fleck buff is gone. But basically, the 3 rules. Start demon, like during demon phase, get 100 rage, ready to pounce on your inner demon. Devastate to 5 early, and try and get a spell flecked off. That's it, and it's easy. But if you, if I were to start on the inner demon with no rage, I'd struggle. If I didn't sunder 5 times early, I'd struggle. And if I, the spell fleck does do quite a lot of damage. So this is him resetting threat after the end of the demon phase. So I have 100 rage ready. I shield slam. I don't get a threat. This is annoying. I even get a couple of crits off there. I still don't get a threat. That's annoying. And this warlock dies as a consequence. Probably just pumping, doing too much damage during the during the transition when the threat reset happens. You can't say that's a tank's fault there. You can't say that's a tank's fault there. Why my voice is starting to go. And then cycle over and over and over, and then at 15%, he will split into 2. So you have the demon form and you have the humanoid form. So this is the human form. He's obviously ended a phase, so there's a threat reset, so we're just trying to pick him up. This is when you want to be lusting, ideally, when you've got both of the ads up. So now he's doing some roleplay. So my rage is at 20. A rage potion would be ideal here. Just so that as soon as he comes up, because I'm scared to shield slam because I want to have rage. Okay, well I am going to shield slam now. Okay, so he immediately. So what appears is that the cooldown of the whirlwind is still ticking in the background, and now he's phased. My whirlwind has come off cooldown, so then now he's whirlwinding. So I did actually ask for a misdirection, and that wasn't a very good call there. So the warlock tank is now having to tank the demon phase. Oh, there are no inner demons or anything like that anymore. It's literally just the demon using fireballs on the warlock tank and then the whirlwind. A lot of the time, DPS will get really excited because we've just hit the 15% mark and we've got, 2 Leotherises up, and they just over aggro again and again and again. Oh, the boss is almost dead. Let's start pumping. No, just play it safe. The enrage timer is really long. It's very hard to see, but we've got 4 minutes and 38 seconds left on the enrage timer. There is plenty of time on the enrage timer. Do not let your DPS wipe you because they're killing themselves, because they're not respecting the threat resets. We've got, we're barely over half of the enrage timer, and we're killing the boss. Okay, so that's Leo. And then we've got some more shield bearer trash. Gives you the charge. Some more tide callers that, you know, spawn the totem that we kill. Lots. Oh, here we go. This is the first acid geyser we get. So another Underbod Colossus. Again, these do one of 3 mechanics. This one's doing the acid geyser. So he's targeted Bailey Priest, and he's doing a frontal cone towards Bailey Priest. Guess where Bailey Priest is? In the range camp. Look at everyone taking damage on the raid frame. We lose 3 people, 4 people, 5 people. Okay? This is why it's important to not be max range. The call has now been made for everyone to be stacking behind the boss. One thing you could do on private servers is Blessing of Protection. The Acid Geyser, you cannot... Oh, on live in Classic WoW. The Hunter Pet has been targeted by the Acid Geyser. So be careful for that. As a hunter, just, I don't know, have it follow you and then run to the tank position. Okay. So next we are looking at... Oh, this says Tactics Leo. This should be Tactics Fathom Lord Kerathras. Oh well. Okay, so there's an extra trash pack. Oh no, okay, we've already killed it, I think. So there's an extra trash pack in this tunnel that you want to kill prior to starting the boss. Just try and show you. So there's a patrol that goes back and forth. You're going to be running this way anyway towards Morgrim, but it's nice to kill this anyway. Just gives you a little bit more room in the boss room. So we've got Shatterers again, which will do the Shatter debuff. Again, don't worry about spell reflecting it. The 30 rage for the extra threat is probably worth more. We've got 2 witches, which do the mind control and the Shadow Nova knockback. So these are the scary ones. This is a bigger pack than before. So we had witches and we had, I can't remember what else. It was really easy. Now this is listen, this is the hardest pack in SSC. Okay, so make sure people know what their marks are. Make sure people know who they're misdirecting. Make it very clear, and you know, just take your time with it. On private servers, we used to have deaths on this pack every single week, and you know, as soon as you're about to pull, just, you know, I was saying on Discord, guys, this is our worst pack in the whole dungeon. Let's just take it cool and, you know, try and focus and make sure that everyone is happy. And you know, if you're going to play well during the whole dungeon, play well on this pack. So I'm tanking a Shatterer. I've got plenty of rage, so I can spell reflect if he does do the cast. Oh, I'm tanking both Shatterers, I think. Yeah, easy peasy, whatever. Oh, also make sure these witches again are always out of range. See that Shaman is getting knocked back by the shadow AoE, and then we're going to get 2 people mind controlled probably. And if it's the tanks, it sucks. So we've got a rogue here, Sarth, being mind controlled. Obviously, don't kill the mind control people. To counter mind control, cyclones are the best thing because you're immune to all damage. You can't be accidentally whirlwinded down. Okay, so now on Fathom Lord Kerathras, I'm going over some tactics. One of the tanks, we have the Paladin. I'm telling him to tank the Priest mob down here. So this is where you tank the Priest. You want to tank the Priest away from the rest of the raid. You can't tank the Priest too far away, really, as long as it's inside the room. Down here is best because the heal that she does doesn't abide by the laws of line of sight. A heal cast behind this pillar will heal the rest of the mobs in the room. I can't remember what the range of the heal is, but just make sure you tank it far in this corner and the heal will never reach anybody, okay? And then you just have one healer with the Paladin down here. Easy peasy. I'm just going through that. This is about positioning and assignments. Then I'm tanking the Shaman boss up here. I don't have it written down the name of the mobs. Oh, Charybdis is the priest, and Talaves is the Shaman that I'm going to be tanking. I have it vaguely written down. And then the Hunter is tanked by someone else. So here we have the Shaman wearing the Shaman gear, Hunter wearing Hunter gear, Fathomlord Kerathres himself, the big warrior, and then the priest Charybdis. So Charybdis gets MD'd over to the Paladin down here. This priest does a large range heal, which needs to be tanked in the corner. The priest also does a water tomb. It's more like a hunter trap than anything else. It just CCs you, and also does like a typhoon kind of thing that will just run around and knock people back. Just avoid it. The hunter will spawn one of two pets, either an elemental or a spore bat. Just kill it. And the shaman does a Wind Fury totem and a Spitfire totem. The Spitfire totem is a famous totem, I suppose, for tier 5. Just kill the totem straight away. It just spams a volley for not the whole room, but like, I don't know, 50-yard volley or something. Like quite a large range volley that just spams damage. So melee need to get on the Spitfire totem, or everybody whenever you're tanking everything together here. There's some sort of break going on here. The tactics are taking a long time. Okay, so let's go back to the pull. The pull is happening now. I'm picking up the Shaman. The priest gets MD'd down to the corner. And also the boss is tanked over here. Fathomlord does a Nova. So it's smart to just tank him away so that when he's Novaing, it's only on the tank. So we have a druid on Fathomlord Kerathres in the corner. So we're killing the Shaman first. I don't think you necessarily have to kill the Shaman first, but this is, the private server way, because the Shaman has like a Wind Fury. So you see my health getting particularly spiky. It's good to use an avoidance trinket and just have something. So like avoidance trinket into Last Stand, into Nightmare Seed. Just have something other than just your HP and your shield block protecting you from damage. As soon as Skull dies, we're killing the totems. Make sure that the Spitfire totem is the most important one. Oh, the boss also does a volley that you just saw there. Can't remember what it's called, but it'll attack a random mana user and destroy their mana. Like, there'll be a lot of unhappy DPS when their mana gets obliterated. So the hunter has summoned the Spore Bat. So against either the Spore Bat or the Elemental, he'll do like a Bestial Wrath and increase his damage and the pet's damage. Just heal through, fairly straightforward. The boss, Kerathres, has joined us here. So he's going to be doing his Nova now around here. And then when the mobs are cleaned up, everyone basically goes over to kill the priest. I say everyone, it shouldn't be everybody, because basically the mechanic of this boss is when any of the adds dies, he gains one of their abilities. So he's going to be dropping here, Spitfire Totem. So he gained the Spitfire ability. He also gained the, Enrage ability and something else. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. The important ones are, the important fact is that you have people here to kill the Spitfire Totem. Because if you don't have enough people to kill the Spitfire Totem, the tanks are just going to be hit by volley after volley after volley of the Spitfire Totem, as are the healers and anyone in range. The last big factor is don't get the boss below 75% HP, because unlike hiking Mulgar in Gruul's Lair, if you start to damage Fathomlord Kerathres and he goes to 75% or lower, he will do a massive enrage, increasing his damage, I think, by 66% per mob still active. And then he's just going to start, destroying the tank. Not good. And that concludes Kerathres. One moment, just having a bit more water. Right, my voice needs to make it through this. Okay, Trash Tomorrow Grim. It's more of the same. There's a second patrol, which is Fathomlord Witches. So the Mind Control and the Shatterers, again, another tough pack. And then we have Murlocs. These Murlocs aren't too bad. The Shamans do a Chain Lightning. The Warriors do an Enrage. They get big. And the Hydromancers do a Frost Nova and a Frost Bolt. And the Depth Seers, these are tricky ones. They do a Tranquility, which will heal all of them, which isn't very good. And they also do a Rejuvenation. So dispel the Rejuvenation on the enemies. And as soon as you see a Tranquility, just hard swap, damage, and kill the mob doing the Tranquility. Okay, that's it. AoE them down. The Nova is really annoying. They also have like a net here, you can see. I can't remember which mob does the net, but it's also similar to the mobs in Kara. There'll be a threat drop as well. So if you're netted, expect the mob to run away. So other tanks who aren't in a Nova need to pick up the mob or be very quick to click and taunt immediately, okay? That's basically the trash to Morgrim. I've not... I haven't not done this before. Run to the side and then pull this last patrol. So I've always done this on PTR. I've not actually attempted without it. The risk is you have somebody who is teleported. We'll talk about that when we talk about the boss mechanics. And you accidentally pull this pack as well. So we've actually skipped round the side of the room to pull this pack. I don't know if this is a requirement in order not to pull them with the boss. So again, we've run around the outside of the room and not pulled Morgrim Tidewalker, sorry. And there's a really good position, like there are some wipes here. You can run into the tunnel to reset the boss. So if I'm dying at some point, you just run back up into the tunnel, and then as the boss gets to the corner, he will reset. Okay, so let's go to the kill attempt. Okay, so this is another fight similar to Lurker, where you want to be armor potting the full duration because he does hit hard. He also has a quick attack sometimes, so he will actually get rid of both stacks of your shield block and leave you vulnerable to crushers. So be careful, okay? So tanking him here is useful, although you can also tank him on the opposite side of this pillar. The benefit of tanking him on the opposite side of the pillar is you're closer to the people who get teleported for the what's it called? I can't remember what the teleport's called. Watery Grave. We got there in the end. So periodically 3 people, I think it's 3, could be 4. 3 people get teleported over to this side of the room, and you get CC'd, and you take, I think it's like 10k damage. No, less than 10. You take damage when you're teleported, I think. And then you take full damage as well. So you need to be healed to a certain amount in order to survive. You can see everyone's running back after having been teleported. So you just have a healer full time by the Watery Grave, just healing people. So as a tank, you need to be facing him away from the raid. You don't want to be tanking these Murlocs. I turn the boss a little bit just so that it's the mobs are more easily picked up by the Paladin. If you are Paladin tanking this, and you're struggling to pick up the Murlocs, make sure DPS aren't attacking too early. You know, the mobs come in 2 waves. One wave from the north position and one wave from the south position. Because we're tanking the boss towards the top of the room, these waves are not going to reach, the waves of the Murlocs are not going to reach the raid at the same time. They're going to be staggered, like 5-10 seconds apart from each other. So as the Paladin, what you want to do is have a consecration early at the top, so that you pop the consecration and there are no Murlocs. 1, 2, 3, 4 seconds pass, and then the Murlocs are running over the consecration. Okay, you've got to tick on all of those Murlocs, and now you want to pop a consecration down near where the second wave of mobs are. So you kind of pick up 2 mobs staggered with 2 consecrations. Rank 1 Blizzard is fantastic from a mage in order to just slow the mobs down and keep them more controlled. The level of control you get from a rank 1 Blizzard is insane. Additionally, when the Murlocs are just about to spawn and they've appeared, you can have a Warlock live tap so they're not full HP, and you can Holy Light them and get healing threat that way. It's not a huge amount of threat, but it's more than nothing. Rest of the druids in particular are going to really struggle to not pull threat if the paladin can't pick them up straight away. Again, if you're still struggling, you can have the mage use a higher rank of Blizzard to actually kite them through the consecration. Slow Totem is good, and I'm just getting pinged on Discord. I might need to separate this into 2 videos. Okay, I've got to do 2 videos. Okay, well, let's split it up now. Okay, hi, sorry about that interval, for me at least. Nax and AQ got in the way. Okay, so sorry. So Morgan Tidewalker. Yeah, so it's a lot of this comes down to the paladin picking up the Murlocs and the healers. Obviously, when the paladin is tanking the Murlocs, healers need to be on the paladin. This is when the main tank on Morgrim takes, well, no more damage, but less healing. So you need to be aware that as soon as a couple of healers are dragged off the main tank on Morgrim and are then healing the paladin, the main tank can suddenly have increased chance of death just because there's less healing going on. It's so handy having Last Stand and Shield Wall for this boss. I think very quickly this will be easy and Druids will be fine. But I haven't actually tanked it as Druid. I'm actually tanking it for progress on Druid for the first time, so we'll see how that goes. Hopefully it goes smoothly. But yeah, I mean, like, make sure Demo Shout is on full time and Thunderclap. You really need to focus on your debuffs because this is basically the only boss in SSC that can kill the tank when everything is going pretty much, you know, well. You can have all your tick boxes checked and the tank can still die. You just need to be ready with those cooldowns. You know, if you've got a Disc Priest, get ready to use Pain Suppression, try and get a good improved lay on hands for the extra armor buff. You know, consider like a Devo Aura for your tank, maybe. Obviously, Commanding Shout, and just really support the weak points in the raid, so that help the paladin tank out. You can also have if you're running like 2 Holy Paladins or even your only Holy Paladin, they can drop in their tank gear, put Righteous Fury on, and do quite well at picking up one of the packs, and then you just tank them together as soon as possible on the main paladin's consecration. Also, these ads, you can ignore them quite early. Let me just, oh, it'd be so awkward to try and find 30%. Is it 30% the ad start? The can't remember off the top of my head. What percentage do we go? 25%. We move into the corner because from the watery grave area, where there's like little waterfalls, there are going to be water globules that are just spheres that slowly move towards the raid. These will despawn before they get to the raid if you tuck yourself into the corner here. So I'm really in the corner and my camera is messing up. And you see where Cross and Skull are? That's ideally where the raid are, because then you guarantee that none of the water globules have a chance of reaching anybody. Oh, also, just so you know, this debuff is a frontal cone, kind of like a cone of cold or something. It slows your attack speed, which is why threat can be a problem on this boss. So these are the water globules, and they just despawn before they get to you. I don't know why the paladin was jumping around them. It'll like tomb you in ice, similar to Hydros. Okay, so that's Morgrim. So let's look at Vash. Here we are in Vash. Oh, just to start off with, you can line of sight, so you can run to this pillar without pulling the boss. So this guy has pulled the boss. So he's trying to MD me or something. He's MD'd me and now wants to pull the boss. And he's messing it up. He can just get multi-shot and just killed right now. So the boss does a multi-shot. A static lightning debuff on a random raid member. You just need to move away. If it's on the main tank, just max range. As a Tauren, it's quite nice because you can attack from a little bit further away, meaning that melee can max range and still attack more easily. So the static charge is on Panda right now. Oh, here he is. And just make sure you're not near anybody. Perfecto. You can also practice the positioning for phase 3. So just treat this as being phase 3 in terms of positioning. So like you want people to be all around the room, not just stuck near the entrance, which is the case here. And then at 75% HP, we will go into phase 2. Oh, also she'll do Entangle Root to everyone. I don't know what the range is like, 15 yards or so. You need to just obviously make sure that the pets and the melee are in range to attack. And as the tank, you're going to be getting Blessing of Freedoms if you're a warrior. 2 paladins can just rotate and have Blessing of Freedom on you whenever the root happens. Or you are a druid and you can power shift. Or you can try and just do an instant taunt. I don't think it works. Vash, surprisingly, is tauntable. So if one of the tanks gets CC'd or mind controlled, more realistically, particularly in phase 3, when the mind control happens, taunt can be very, very useful. And also, well, we'll get to that when we come to phase 3. So, oh, it's 70%, not 75, my mistake. You make these kind of errors when you're just doing it on the fly. You see the elementals that are spawning from the water around the room. There are set locations where all of these spawn. If you want this as more like a raid leading guide, you want to have assignments for where people are standing and killing the ads. And if one of the areas is weak at killing the ads or getting the Tainted Core, it's either a problem with the assignment and the assignment's wrong, or someone didn't follow the assignment. Those are the 2 only outcomes that are possible. You need to identify which of them is wrong and fix it. That's basically how you manage phase 2. So every so often a Coil Fang Elite will spawn. It does a cleave. It does a hamstring. It doesn't hamstring very often, and you can avoid it as far as I'm aware. So it's not always up, but try and get a paladin in range because it can really screw you over. Like I've got hamstring now. Let's say, for example, that a new ad spawned on the opposite side of the room, and it's my job to pick it up. We're going to get screwed. Intervene Intercept is really good. The Strider, which is the tall mob over there with the long legs, you can Berserker Rage if you are nearby because that mob constantly pulses a fear, which is going to fear anyone near the mob. Just grab this. Oh, I'm flying. You know, just PTR things. You could actually just fly on the PTR. Feels good. So again, be mindful of the cleave of the Coil Fang Elite. Everyone in the raid needs to be mindful of the cleave. Also, healers. When the Coil Fang Elite spawns, oh, you see that green elemental in the background? That needs to die before it despawns. This is where the Tainted Core comes from. So every so often, the Tainted Core will spawn, it dies. You need to be able to loot. So maybe Master Loot works, maybe it doesn't. I don't know. I saw some change logs about that. Pick it up. When you have it looted, you can't move, and you need to throw it in your bag to somebody else. You can use a macro for it. I'll paste the macro in the description. So this is a weird position of this druid. This druid is looking to get cleaved by this mob. Like if that mob, I don't know, and then just intervene to grab the other one. Again, bad positioning here. Don't be in front of these mobs. Give respect to these mobs. They are going to cleave and one-shot you. But yeah, healers. When the Coil Fang Elite spawns, you need to be mindful that you're going to be pulling threat on it before anyone else generates any threat. DPS, you can like moonfire it or something as an example. And let's say that there's a... Let's do some drawing again. Let's say that a Coil Fang Elite has just spawned over here, okay? And I'm tanking over here or something, right? And I'm a Moonkin stood where I am. I can just moonfire this. Pow, pow, pow. And... ooh, who's going to get aggro? It's going to run straight to the Moonkin. As the Moonkin, I go moonfire, and then I just run to the tank. Guess what? I can just be stood here, and oh, the Coil Fang Elite is just going to run straight to me because the druid who moonfired is just kiting it effectively to me. Obviously, you want to just be spinning your camera around all the time and making sure that you're picking up the Coil Fang Elite. Additionally, if you have multiple tanks, you can assign one tank to each side. Also, you can, like, this is a bit too close for comfort for the cleave as well. Like, this is scary. Like, he did a cleave that I dodged it. Bro, like, I don't know how far out of melee range he is, but, dude, that's scary. You really respect their cleave. You also don't want to have any deaths in phase 2 or phase 1 because you need to be in full pump mode for phase 3, and that's the difficult phase. This is nothing compared to phase 3. There's an ad that spawns. I intervene away.
Oh man, that's so good.
People are following my channel.
I feel
and
good.
It's triggering the alert. I'm sorry. But yeah, that is basically phase 2. DPS need to just go for the Strider as the priority. Obviously, for Tainted Core spawns, you go for the Tainted Core if you're assigned to it. Otherwise, Strider, then Coilfang Elite. It's okay to have 2 Coilfang Elites up, even 2 Coilfang Elites up when Vash gets released. So we're on to our last power core hand in here at the, whatever you call this. I can't remember what it's called. The tower thing, pillar, column. So that's going to be unleashed soon. People need to be so careful for these cleaves. Like, I'm picking up these things and they're just going to be cleaving. I'm so surprised no one's died to cleave so far. That you really need to respect the cleave. Okay, there's not much more to say. If the Strider does get kited through you, obviously you can just pop your Berserker Rage, as I said before, and just avoid the fear. It's really good to do that. Although I don't feel like I have to very often. Like on private servers, I felt like I was doing it. Like I could do it now and then run under instead of, like, I'm in an awkward situation where people are in the middle of the room. I can't really kite the boss, my Coilfang Elite, into the middle of the room. What I could do is Berserker Rage and walk under. Otherwise, I'm just going to end up running around the room in front of this Strider, which is a bit awkward. Because also, I don't want to drag it away from the middle of the room too far, because the DPS, the casters are in the middle, and they're the DPS that are killing this elite. Let's fast forward to the last boss. The last phase, rather. Okay, I think we're failing with the core a bit, because it takes us a while to enter phase 3. So whoever's clicking this power core thing needs to do a countdown, and it needs to be somebody who is confident with the boss timers. Ideally, you do it just before the new Strider spawns, because you don't want 2 Striders up at once, even though we happen to have 2. Anyway, we've unleashed Vash. This is, again, like early days in the PTR. So ideally, just before a new Strider comes, obviously, I would rather unleash Vash when there's 5 seconds until the new Strider, not 1 second until the new Strider, because, oh look, a new Strider came, because I tried to be greedy and do it at the last second. And it's like, no, we just got a new Strider and we've probably thrown the attempt. What you want is everybody to be alive and have everyone, like, I'm going to way too much detail for this for like a tank guide. Stamina gear is really good for this. Threat isn't too much of an issue. You can taunt the boss if there are problems. She hits hard enough that rage isn't really a problem. 2 stamina trinkets are really nice, particularly if... one thing I should have mentioned in phase 1 is she does a stun that can be grounded. So having 2 shamans in your party for phase 1 and phase 3 is really, really good, because they just rotate their grounding totem and you are immune to every stun. So mind controls go out in phase 3. Now this is a really big problem for the raid, because obviously you don't benefit from the tanking or the healer or the DPS, and you know, I can heal other people if I was a healer. I can deal damage and do all sorts of nasty stuff to the raid. So I've got the static debuff charge. There's a rain of fire from a warlock. You know, it's all kicking off, and as you see, this is one of our only P3 attempts this day. It's a bit rough, but that's how it is. As a tank currently on the PTR, you can actually use a thunderclap and demo shout and actually get threat of the mind controlled players. Now thunderclap's quite good because it doesn't do a lot of damage to pick up threat of the MC'd targets. You don't really want to go around shield slamming people because it can do a little bit too much damage. But that's up to you. If you're struggling for threat on somebody... Oh, also interrupts as well. War stomps, concussion... can you war stomp? I don't think you can CC a lot of the MCs. Okay, maybe you can't do a lot of stuff. But shield slam or pummel definitely work for interrupting. So really do that. And I think that for paladins, the blood elf racial should work as well. So just obviously get out of the MC'd people's mechanics like Rain of Fire. There are going to be spore bats spawning. You can't really see them. They're flying above us. and they have about 50k HP. They got buffed recently on the PTR, or towards the end of the PTR, so they have a little bit too much HP to actually kill. The more spore bats that are flying above us, oh, there's one there. Oh, I managed to pause right at the time where you saw a spore bat. The spore bats drop this green goo on the floor, and you just need to move away from it ASAP. There's actually an animation where you can see the spore bat dropping its goo, like there. Oh, look, it did it on me after I died. Okay, is that a bug? Don't know. So I die, and then you see the animation of the goo go down, and you saw it there as well. That's a better example. But down here, also spread out, like these two guys are both going to have to move, even though it was only this guy who got the goo targeted on him by a spore bat. So spread out because of the goo, obviously spread out because of the static charge, and don't be near the boss if you're not a melee because of the entangle root. Like stamina gear in general helps for the tank, because if you do get stunned, like for example, let's say that one of your shamans dies, you're susceptible to the stun. If you are getting close to the enrage on private servers, one thing I really loved was like if the whole raid is alive, because you're being very good at survivability, but you're hitting the enrage timer. Morose's Lucky Pocket Watch is fantastic because you can just pop that and just you know, I don't think you get one shot with the hard enrage. So as long as like you can just go on a dodge spree and grant yourself effectively an extra 8 seconds of the enrage timer just by staying alive. Obviously the multi-shot will start one-shotting people with the hard enrage. I don't know if we get an enrage here. We might do right at the very end. I have footage of at least one attempt where we hit enrage. Not sure. No, she just despawns. Okay, well that concludes SSC. I hope this has been useful. Please give me some feedback. Obviously this has been really off the cuff and rushed. I hope to refine it and go into more detail later, but I thank you for watching. Like, subscribe. I'll catch you later. Bye.